What exactly is it that causes people to double tap on an Instagram post, hit like on a Facebook notification, or comment in general? It's engaging, captivating content that draws people in and causes them to want to engage with you. We're gonna dive into some very practical steps on how to create engaging content. Hey friends, and welcome back to my social media growth course. I am here today to talk to you all about creating engaging content. What is engaging content? Well, photos, captions, videos that people actually interact and engage with. It sounds like a simple concept, but it's not as easy as you think. In our last session, we talked all about finding your own voice through social media. So I hope you've had a chance to review that one. Each session is going to build one on the other. So I highly encourage you to make sure that you go back to the beginning so that you're creating a solid base for your social media account. If you jump in the middle, things might be a little bit intense or you might not fully understand all of the information. Hopefully you've taken some time to write down your goals, your passion, you figured out your main topic, and also probably come up with 2 to 3 subcategories that you're going to focus on. So from there, we should be able to dive right into creating engaging content. I just want to take a moment to make note of how important I think it is to be yourself on your social media platforms. Because of course, if people are engaging with your content, they're engaging with you as a real person. People want to connect with other real people. They don't want to connect with like an Insta-perfect mom or the persona of who you think they want you to be. They want to connect with you on a real, basic, general level. So be real. One of the key things that you need to remember here is that people are on social media to be entertained. They are not here to be bored. I mean, typically you come on social media because you are bored. So when they are scrolling, they are looking for entertainment. I think a common misconception here that I want to clear up right from the beginning is just because I say that people want to be entertained, I'm not necessarily saying like you have to be funny or create videos or something like that. I think a common misconception is when we think entertainment, because the entertainment industry is like celebrities and movies and gossip magazines and stuff like that, that's kind of where our brain goes. But that is not what I'm saying at all. If you're into those things, great. Go for it. But people can actually be entertained by many different subjects, topics, ideas. Let me explain. When I'm looking for entertainment, I'm looking for somebody to engage me, to get my brain going, to evoke emotions from my heart. I mean, when you watch a movie, you don't just watch the funny ones. We watch the documentaries and we watch the dramas and the action films and the ones that make us cry. We watch a vast variety of different movies, and I'm saying that when people are looking to be entertained on social media, there is a vast variety of ways that they can be entertained. Of course, obviously, if people are coming to Instagram, typically they're looking to be engaged on in a visual sense. Instagram is first and foremost a visual platform. While I still think that captions are hugely important, people are going to look at your photo first. If that photo does not make them stop in their tracks for one reason or another, they're gonna keep scrolling. Which means they don't engage, which means you're not getting engagement, which means Instagram is probably hiding your posts and you're not getting in front of a larger audience. So, snowball effect. Let's talk about how to fix that. Back in the beginning when I got started and I read blog after blog that told me to create engaging content, and that was all they would say, or maybe they'd write like a little caption about, make nice photos and make sure they're pretty, and seriously, that is all you have for me? What does it mean to create engaging content? Because this is a huge subject. There is a market for literally everything on the planet. So again, in the last video, I talked about finding your own voice, being unique, not being afraid to be yourself. Don't just scan and scroll what everybody else is making and try to recreate it. I encourage you to actively work to come up with your own original style, your own original content, pictures that draw you in. Because if they draw you in, they're gonna draw people like you in, and that's the crowd that you're looking for. As example, in my own personal feed and style, I am not a hashtag all the feels mama. It's just not my thing. While yes, I have emotional moments and I hug my children and I'm overwhelmed with gratitude in my heart, I'm not really one to effervesce about it. It's just not me. I tend to be a funny person, a bit of a sarcastic and snarky person, and that's what I wanted my feed to be. The more that I stay true to myself, the more that I connect with and draw in an audience who's like-minded with me. Because obviously, if I'm putting out content that I think is funny, I'm drawing in people like me who also think my content is funny. So it's a win-win situation. And on top of that, then I feel like the brands that I choose to partner with, because I like them, they fit my lifestyle, they fit my message, they also are attractive to my target audience. How do we create engaging content? I am going to give you 10 tips that I feel like if you write down and actually take some time to work at these 10 tips, you are going to see an increase in your engagement. These are things that I've done personally that I feel have truly helped to increase my engagement and to have people engage with me on a very real level. I get a lot less now of like the little heart emojis and oh, so cute, and the fake comments that come along with people who are kind of just scrolling willy-nilly. Now I have a real audience who genuinely cares about me and the content I create, and they engage on that level. But first, take some time to go scroll your own feed. You can scroll as far back as you want. Actually, when I scroll towards the bottom of my feed, when I first began, there's some inspiration for me down there where I see portions of my feed that I'm like, nailed it. There's just parts that I go, every single photo flowed well together. The aesthetics of my overall feed looked good together. I was getting pretty good likes, pretty good engagement, whatever. So once in a while, I scroll back down to those blocks just for my own personal inspiration. You don't just have to find inspiration in other people's feeds. You can find inspiration right in your own feed. So take the time to do some scrolling. Look at your feed with a kindly critical eye. I'm not saying that you need to sit there and go, oh my gosh, I hate all of this. This was terrible. I did horrible, blah, blah, blah. No. Please be kind to yourself. You are your own worst critic, but I want you to look at it take a step back and look at your feed as if you were a viewer. Do you feel like the photos flow at all? Can you see where your own voice started to emerge? Can you see where you really hit on a vein that people connected well with? Can you see where you came into yourself? While you're checking out your feed, make note of what photos stand out to you. What colors pop in your photo? Which photo does your eye just keep going back to time and time again because you're like, oh my gosh, I love that photo. Like, I did a dang good job. Also, if you have a business account, and I hope that you do, make some time to go into your back office and go look through your analytics. These are hugely telling to see what your audience is actually engaging with and what they find the most attractive. I like to take time week to week to go check out my analytics, see which posts are doing the best, which ones received the most likes, which ones received the most comments, and which one just had the best overall reach. While I don't think that you should ever feel pressured to post a certain way or even like post for your audience necessarily, it's still a good thing to look at in general because I can see what my audience is liking, what they're enjoying, and typically those are the photos that I enjoy creating also. So it just encourages me even more that I'm going in the right direction and that I should keep heading that direction. All right, we are going to jump into my top 10 tips for creating engaging content. And I feel like that was a tongue twister that I mastered. Heck yes. Tip number 1, preview your feed. I use a very simple little app called Snug, S-N-U-G, and basically all I do is upload the next photo that I'm kind of thinking so I can get an overall general feel of how it would fit into my feed. Now, I've kind of gotten away from really caring that my feed flows and looks beautiful to the eye. I care a little bit more these days about each individual photo being engaging, but it is still something that I focus on. And before I post a photo, I always go upload it to Snug to see if I feel like it fits. Because once in a while, I actually will choose not to post that photo for the day because I feel like something else would fit better. So this is the simplest, easiest way to start creating a nice flow on your overall feed. Because believe it or not, when somebody sees your photo, let's say on the Explore page, and they come over and check out your profile, they are going to maybe give you one finger scroll and they're going to look at your feed and go, yes or no. So having a good feed is actually horribly important, because even though your photo in itself could look nice to people, when they go scroll your feed and they kind of see it's all messy and it's random, and so maybe you post a mom life photo here, but then that next photo has a totally different filter and 3 down is like a mess. They're not going to want to follow along with that because it's messy and maybe it doesn't look like you have a clear direction. So make sure that you're looking at your overall feed. Download an app like Preview or Snug to help you out. Speaking of feeds and photos and standing out among the rest, tip number 2 is consider a preset. Now, I caution you from jumping in and buying like a huge preset pack if you haven't taken my tips from the session before. You need to figure out your voice, you need to really look at your colors and your style, etc., before you go invest in a preset package, because they can be expensive. I myself have never invested in a preset from someone else because I found them to be way too expensive. And usually, like, I'll kind of trial a filter for a little while, and I just don't end up liking it over time. So that made me realize that I really needed to hold off on buying a preset until I felt good about my own voice and making sure that I knew the colors and the styles that I was going for. A preset can really help you brand yourself and your feed so that when people see your photo, it stands out as, oh, that's Honestly Mommy's photo, because they recognize your colors and your overall style. Little freebie to throw in for you here, you do not have to buy a preset pack to have a preset. You can go ahead and download Lightroom for yourself and create your own preset. Now, it took me about 4 to 6 months of messing around with Lightroom and just continuing to adjust levels and tweak colors and change the exposure levels to find a preset that I felt like actually worked for generally all of my photos. So I now have my own preset that I use in Lightroom, and it takes me a minute to edit my photos. It is amazing. I no longer am spending half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever, editing and changing color levels only to get it up on my feed and realize it doesn't look like the rest. Presets are amazing. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about your feed and why you want your actual page to flow and look good, but now let's hone it in and focus on photos individually. Tip number 3. Create engaging photos. Create beautiful photos. Create photos that draw people into them. There are images that scroll past me on my screen and literally cause me to go and like scroll back up. I have to look at that image. I have to kind of figure out all the details, and there's just photos that draw me in as a person. And again, what draws me in is going to be different than what draws you in. But there is an endless amount of people out there who are all drawn to different things. So just because yours is different doesn't mean it's bad. It actually could be a really good thing. Niche accounts tend to blow up. So specifically when I think of engaging photos, I have a couple of accounts that just pop into my mind instantly. Mrs. Galloway, Mama Dre 88, and also All That Is She. These women stand out to me because each individual photo is something that you want to look at. While they all flow beautifully on their feed and they all have extremely different styles, I am drawn to each of their photos because of the beauty or the emotion or sometimes even the simplicity of the photo. I also have a mom friend here on Instagram who is a photographer, and her account handle is Hey Mason. Wow. I don't have to take a second glance because I know for sure it is hers. Number 1, because of the emotions she evokes in me. She always captures her children with these bright and like meaningful eyes. Like you can feel them looking at you through the photo. It's incredible. The other thing that I've really noticed about her photos is she has a very specific color style. Her photos have these deep shadows and these rich colors, and the faces are just smooth and creamy, and her sweet baby's cheeks, I want to kiss them. So she's another great account if you want to stalk somebody and kind of see what I'm talking about. Go check out her feed and look at how it flows, but look at how each individual photo stands out as literally a masterpiece of its own. You can do anything you want when it comes to creating engaging images. Engaging can be funny, it can be emotional, it can be thought-provoking. Sometimes engaging can just be a riot of colors. I think of all the flat lays that I see that scroll past my screen now and again, and they're so intricate and detailed, you just can't help but stop and stare. You want your photos to cause people to stop in their tracks, for one thing or another. I know a lot of creative accounts, again, like All That Is She uses a dash of whimsy here and there. She uses some photoshopping skills to make you go, whoa, what just happened there? Because it's out of the norm. It makes you stop and look. Typically, if you can get somebody to stop and look, they will double tap. Okay, tip number 4, invest in your captions. I feel like people think that because Instagram is primarily visually based, they just don't really have to do anything in the caption. Oh, this is what we did today. Haha, here's my kid. Like, lame captions, nothing for me to engage with. Typically, if I stop to look at the photo, you can bet my eyes are gonna look down and I'm gonna read the caption. Did you have anything you wanted to explain about the photo? Was there a certain emotion you were trying to invoke in me because of your photo? Invest in your captions. Also, read and reread them. Ladies, grammar, spelling, oh my gosh. I mean, obviously we miss it now and again. I continually have people message me, just be like, hey, you misspelled a word. I'm like, it happens. But let's do our best to actually read through our captions once or twice, make sure that the words, the thoughts flow. I usually give them a good 2 to 3 rereads because I always find something. I find a comma here or, oh, that wording was kind of odd there. And so I'm always changing and quickly editing my caption before I go ahead and upload it. Tip number 5. All of the mamas that I mentioned earlier have series. They have hashtag series, regular photos that they do over and over and over again and just kind of recreate, add a new twist to. I think this can add a lot of consistency to your feed. It also can create like an expectancy with your crowd when they know that you kind of regularly do a certain photo. They look for it. And again, they recognize it because whenever that photo comes across my feed, even though it's a little different every single time, I know exactly who posted it. So consider creating some sort of series. I have one that I just started recently. I do hashtag honest and balanced. And I just do these funny balancing photos where typically, like the last one I did, my kids are sitting in a laundry basket raised above my head. Of course, it's all photoshopped, but it causes people to go, whoa, she's strong. And it's also becoming kind of a regular on my feed. I do it maybe once a month or every couple of weeks. So it's something that people see, and I'm now starting to see a greater increase on the engagement on that photo, I believe because people know it's mine. And you don't have to come up with a hashtag for your photo series if you don't want. I'm just talking about recreating some of your photos that did well. Now, not replicating them. Don't repost it over and over and over again unless you're All That Is She and you have a huge crowd and you can do that. But take that photo that did really well and think of how you could change something here and there. My friend Mama Dre 88 posts these gorgeous shots of her children sleeping, but she does it in a heart where her baby is kind of like half the heart, and then she'll do flowers or bananas or hearts as the other half, and it creates these gorgeous whimsical photos that just, I mean, you can't help but be sucked into that photo. I have to double tap when I see that photo come across my feed. Tip number 6, I mentioned this just a little bit earlier, but add a touch of whimsy here and there if it fits you and it fits your feed. I'm not talking about straight up photoshopping and having people hanging from the ceiling and stuff. That doesn't work for everybody. If that's your bit, great, go for it. But even I've seen style influencers or beauty bloggers who add maybe some, I think it's called bokeh or bokeh, those orbs, those beautiful see-through light orbs here and there, or they add like a sun streak gracefully coming in through their photo. You can add bits of whimsy here and there without it being glaringly photoshopped. A couple great examples for this would be Wispy Feather Farm, Sienna and I, or I think it's Taryn Hera Photography. I will list all of these accounts down below, so excuse me while I rattle off names that I don't know how to pronounce. So make sure to go check them out because I feel like they'll give you a good perspective of what I'm talking about with adding a little whimsy here and there, but maybe not going over the top. And actually, when you're scrolling your feed, check out like the style bloggers or even like the lifestyle photos that look super natural, but see if you can see anywhere where they may have added a touch of whimsy, like a little bit of sparkle or a light leak here or there. People do a lot more photoshopping naturally than you realize. All right, tip number 7, use where you're at in life. Use your life circumstances. Now, obviously, if you're going through something really hard and you're uncomfortable sharing it on your Instagram account, that's not what I'm talking about. But like for me right now, so I am a police wife and I have researched and started using all of those hashtags and connecting with some other law enforcement officer wives through Instagram. But I also like to share some of the struggles of where I'm at. My husband only recently became a police officer, and for those who have followed me for a while, I took you with me on that journey. Typically, I shared a lot more in stories than I would maybe in my caption, but when he became a police officer, I mean, we were so excited. And so I made sure to incorporate our new life circumstance in my photos. I took quite a few photos of him like in his uniform, or I'll use his badge in the background once in a while, just as a good reminder of who we are as people and integrating my life circumstances to my feed. Again, people like real life and they like engaging with real people. So the more real that you can make yourself to your audience, I think the better off you will be. So use where you're at in life, invite people into your world and into your life through your photos, through your captions, through your Instagram stories, whatever. But use your life circumstances to help remind people that you're a real person. All right. Tip number 8. So let's talk a little bit about drawing people in. I've already mentioned this here and there, and there's lots of different ways that you can draw people in, but this would be one of my top tips, because something people always tell me when they talk about my account is that they feel like I'm talking to them. And I am. I like to try and stay away from making people feel like they're just one in a crowd. I want to make them feel like they're my friend or I'm actually hanging out with them. Because of course, if they ever show up in like my inbox and they DM me and we're having a private conversation, it is one-on-one. And that's what I'm looking for. Because I'm genuinely looking for relationships through Instagram, I'm always trying to talk to people and relate to them as if I was chatting with a friend. I feel like this is a very appropriate spot to remind you that in one of the earlier sessions, I talked about looking at people not as potential followers, but as potential friends. Although it's great to have a bunch of followers, it's a lot better to have a bunch of friends, because friends are way more loyal than somebody who just hit the following button because. Draw them in. Share where you're at in your life, be relatable, but also talk to them like they're a real person, like they're sitting across from you right now, drinking a cup of coffee, and you're just sharing. Tip number 9, ooh, we're getting down there. Consider the composition of your photo. A lot of times what I see with beginners is everything is dead center, dead center, dead center, dead center. Boring. Or I notice on my own feed, and that's why I love being able to use Snug or Preview to look at my photos, is a lot of times, and I don't know why, I'll just get stuck in one certain type of photo. Like I'll just do a close-up and a close-up, and I'm like, whoa, why did I do that? I don't even realize I'm doing it. It must just be on my brain or something. Sometimes I use the exact same facial expression in like 3 or 4 photos. I'm like, Steph, come on, girl. When you're going to shoot new content, consider the composition of it. A good tip here is always using the rule of thirds. So of course now in a video, I don't necessarily want to be sitting off to the side because that's a little odd, but in a photo, it actually can draw people in and be more eye-catching when you are off to the side. A photo that shows up like this, that leaves some open space and has some fun dynamics to it, is a lot more interesting than a photo of me just straight on. So continually be considering the composition of your photo. I have a couple of friends who do an excellent job using plain, colorful backdrops in their photos, and they vary them now and again, you know, pink when we're coming up on Valentine's Day and maybe yellow when it's coming up on summer, to help evoke different emotions and bring out different colors in their feed. Also, be expressive. Use eye contact. Have human beings in your photos. People are 10 times more likely, actually probably like 100 times more likely to engage in a photo that also has a face in it than just a photo of this board. Boring. Also, I've learned over time that photos where you're actually looking at the camera can be more captivating. I say can be because I have seen a couple of bloggers who their style is kind of mysterious and moody, and so they stay more with their face away from the camera, and that's what draws you into their photo. But that's part of their style. Whereas for me, my photos where I am actually looking with the camera, so I'm engaging with them through the camera, and typically I find the photos where I'm smiling are the ones that do the best. All right, we made it all the way down to the final tip, and this one is a biggie. Tip number 10. create a running list. I am going to talk about this in detail in one of these videos because people are continually asking me, where do you come up with new ideas? Where does your inspiration come from? Guys, I have a never-ending list on my phone. Why is that a big deal, and why does that help me create engaging content? Because number one, I don't run out of ideas. Like, I continually have something that I can go back to kind of refresh my memory, whereas sometimes I feel like people just throw a photo up because they legitimately have nothing better to post. Do you remember those shoe photos that went around forever where people would legit just take a picture of like their shoes on a sidewalk and stuff? And now some people did it well. Other people legit took a picture of their shoes on the sidewalk. Boring. Why? Probably because they ran out of something to do. So if you have a running list of ideas constantly going, you'll never run out of inspiration. Actually, the funny thing is my list inspires me. I'll jot down ideas here and there, and when I go back to them, I'm like, ooh, that's a good one, but this happened the other day, and this would be even more funny. So a lot of times, the original idea is still on the shelf, and I'll maybe get there someday, but something from my current life situation actually inspires me even more, and it just took that to bring it to mind. Okay, that was a lot. I hope that you really did take the time to write all of those down because it's going to take a while for you to integrate each step and really kind of think through each tip that I shared with you. If you're not sure where to start, check out some of the accounts that I listed below just as inspiration. I'm not asking you to copy anyone's ideas. Actually, please do completely the opposite. I had somebody rip off one of my photos the other day, and it's beyond frustrating. There's nothing wrong with looking at somebody's feed to see what inspires you and what draws you in. Because if their photos are drawing you in, it might be because that's a similar style that maybe you want to emulate. If you truly don't know where to get started, take a moment to scroll your Explore page. See which photos stand out to you. See which photos cause you to stop and look. Make note of which photos cause you to double tap. These are all really important things because there's something that you connect with, and so it's probably more of a direction that you may want to take your account. Again, I am not telling you to copy anyone's photo. Actually, nothing could be further from that. Please don't copy people's photo. A friend of mine just ripped off a new style that I was trying out, and it hurts really bad and frustrates creators to no end. So please be really careful here not to rip off other people's style, but actually just to use them as inspiration. Please remember that inspiration is meant to only be that, inspiring. It's meant to inspire you to go and create your own. Maybe that photo is in the back of your mind, but you never want to rip off another creator. And if your photo maybe is too close to the original, it never hurts to give credit. I can't tell you how many letterboard photos that I've seen go across my feed that are legit ripoffs of one of mine. Speaking of letterboards, let's talk about that trend for a moment. Another idea when it comes to creating engaging content can be keeping up with trends. Now, there's hashtags that have gone around that I've gotten in on now and again just because they're fun. Botanical body hair was a really fun one. It's not as big anymore. It kind of fizzled out and whatever. If I said Instagram trends, I can almost bet that most people go, oh my gosh, letterboards. Some people love them, some people hate them, whatever. Here's the deal. Letterboards do create engagement. Why? Because people take a moment to stop and read the board. Typically, then if they connect with it, they'll double tap or they may keep scrolling. Even if they don't double tap, your reach is a lot greater because people stop to look. Now, does this mean that everyone should be doing letterboards? No, it doesn't. The hard part with this trend is I feel that it's gotten way out of hand. And I'm not just saying that selfishly because I do letterboards, but because I see a lot of mamas who are trying to do letterboards but aren't doing them well. So it's not doing anything for their aesthetics, it's not doing anything for their feed, it's not doing anything for their engagement, and it might actually be hurting them. There are a lot of people who don't enjoy letterboards. And if it's not something that was introduced into your feed maybe a while ago, if you start doing it now, people are a little bit more burnt out by it, to be really, really honest. So if it's not your thing and you're not good at words, letterboards aren't for you. Sorry, but it's the truth. Be really careful not to be random or to jump on to too many hot trends because people are seeing them everywhere and they get sick of them. One of the things that I have started doing recently is memes. Now, yes, I am well aware that this is a far established trend and people have been doing it forever. I'm not saying I'm original or anything like that. but it's something that my crowd has actually been asking me to do for quite a long time, and I try as best as possible to put my own spin on the memes. I have been creating my own photos, creating my own from scratch, keeping them very mom-focused, and really just keeping them in the same vein that I am, sarcastic and funny mom humor. So I definitely think it can be worth it to try out trends here and there. I'm just cautioning you, if it's not you, don't do it. Don't feel pressured to jump on a bandwagon. So all I'm trying to say here is that if you'd like to try out a trend, go for it. Just be careful that it doesn't consume you, or if you're not good at it, don't do it. All right, so we talked about a lot today. Let's take a hot second to review the top 10 tips that I shared with you. Number 1, preview your feed. Download an app like Snug so that you can look at your overall feed. Number 2, consider a preset. Number 3, create beautiful and engaging images, which can be a vast variety of different things. Number 4, invest in your captions. Reread through them a couple of times and make sure that you're being genuine and real in them. Also, questions are a great way to go. Number 5, consider creating a series or doing repeat photos that people might recognize as one of your own. Number 6, add a touch of whimsy. That doesn't mean extreme Photoshop. That can be something simple and natural that just adds a little bit of pizzazz to your photo. Number 7, use where you're at in life. Incorporate any of your life circumstances to connect better with your audience. Number 8, draw people in. Talk to them like they're real people, because behind that screen, they are. Number 9, consider the composition of your photo. Make sure that you're continually looking to change things up, keep things fresh, and have a little bit of fun. Number 10, keep and create a running list of ideas. This is gonna so help you out in the long run. You've got your work cut out for you with this one, and I don't really feel like I need to throw some homework at you, because if you really took the time to write down all of those tips and to dive into each one, even a little bit here and there, this is going to be more than enough to work on for a while. If you missed the previous sessions, please make sure to go back and check them out, as they all do build on top of one another. And please subscribe and turn on that little notifications button so you're getting the updates of when my videos are being released. These Instagram growth course videos will be released every Monday. So I hope you come back and continue this course with me next week. I am so happy to be able to share some of my tips and tricks and the things that I've learned along the way with you. And of course, since this whole session was all about creating engaging content, I really truly hope that this video was engaging for you. If it was, please, feel free to give me a like, drop a comment below, and share this video. I so appreciate you guys helping me get the word out about this free Instagram course by sharing in your Instagram stories or your Facebook or whatever you want to do. It means the world to me. Thanks for watching. Mwah!